yesterday.
you know.
Singing, okay. So we're in. Today is Monday. It is Daled Sivan Tovshin Ayin Gimel. We are in Teres Menachem Sefer Mamorim Tovshin Yud Aleph Tovshin Yud Beis in the Maimer of Shabbos Parshas Pinchos Mevorchem Achedish Menachem of Tovshin Yud Aleph Divrei Maschel Tzav, and we are on page Kuf Chof Aleph. And we are 10 lines from the top. The line begins the Ochil Kurbanin. The Ochil Kurbanin. This Maimer is about Karbonos. Tzav Ben Yisrael is the mitzvah of bringing the Korban Tomid, the constant Korban that was brought twice a day in the Beis Hamikdash. And the Rebbe pointed out that bringing Karbonos seems to be the central component of Avodas Hashem, of serving Hashem. Obviously, that was the central Avodah service in the temple, and of course, we aspire to that when Mashiach comes, as we say in the davening, in Musaf, and so on and so forth, in the other tefillas, that we will come to the Beis Hamikdash, V'sham Na'asa Lefanecha, as Karbonos. That we will bring again karbanos. Why such an emphasis? Asks the Rebbe on bringing physical karbanos. In fact, the Rebbe said the whole idea of karban is that it represents something far deeper and more ruchnistic, something more meaningful in terms of the person. Right? It's not just bringing the physical karban that brings about the effects of the karban, but rather the person's demeanor and kavanah, intent, and his condition when the person brings the korban, and he brought from the Ramban or from other places that it's the kavana, the contemplation, the intent that the person has whilst the korban is being brought, that all those things that are being played out on the animal, how that really reflects on the person, not physically, but we're talking about in the spiritual sense, the idea of the various aspects of the human being which are represented in the korban. Right? The totality of the person's endeavor. It's that intent that actually brings about the effect of the korban, which seems to be far more emphasized and prevalent where? In tefillah. Tefillah is connected to midim tiknum. The tefillah is in place of the korban. So where do you have more the focus on the individual, where the person contemplates his bittul, his nullification before Hashem, and how he needs to serve Hashem, and how he should break his taivas and his lusts and his desires, and so on and so forth. Where do we have that more emphasized, it would seem? In tefillah and davening. So why isn't, for example, tefillah greater than karbanos? Why are we aspiring to this physical act of actually bringing a physical korban on the mizbeach? That's the crux of the question. In order to explain that, the Rebbe began to explain the difference between Gan Eden and Olam Hazeh. Heaven and this physical world. The Rebbe turned Gan Eden, Ruchnis Shebegashmi Ha'olam, the spirituality of the physicality of this world, the physical place of Gan Eden, where Adam Rishon was placed when he was created, that physical place was called Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden. That was a physical geographical location. And there, what was present there in that physical geographical location, Ruchnis Shebegashmi Ha'olam, it was the most spiritual among the physicality of the world. That's where the spirituality was a lot more present than in the rest of the world.
You're talking about in Mesopotamia?
Yes, precisely. We're talking about the terrestrial Gan Eden. Not Gan Eden, I mean, of course, it's related to the concept of Gan Eden as we know it now, where the neshamas go after 120, right? But that's a physical place where Adam Rishon and Chava were placed for the purpose of the L'Shamra, working it and guarding it. Working the Gan Eden and guarding the Gan Eden. So the Rebbe explained that if we go now, we superimpose the image of Gan Eden onto the Gan Eden that we know now. So the Rebbe says the difference between our world and the Gan Eden is that in our world we know only the existence of God. We can't really delve into the very essence, on comprehending the essence of God. Why? Because it's so beyond us. Where does the neshama get to the level where it could comprehend godliness? In Gan Eden. As a result of what? Of our avodas Hashem, of the neshama serving Hashem down here in this physical world. So that's the paradox. On the one hand, the neshama can accomplish only what it needs to accomplish when it's a soul in a body in the physical world, where there is only what? Yediyas HaMetzias is the knowledge of God's existence. We cannot reach the level of comprehending the essence of godliness, right? Because we're so distant we're so low relative to the Gettlichkeit. Where does the Neshama achieve that? In Gan Eden, when it comes to Gan Eden, as the Rebbe said, Gan Eden Elyon is where? The upper Gan Eden is in Olam Abriya, the world of creation, the second of the four worlds, which is connected to Moichin, to Bina, the intellect, whereas our world is connected to Midas, the emotional attributes of the spheres, right? So that's the paradox. On the one hand, we find ourselves in this low domain. On the other hand, it is down here in this low domain that we actually accomplish this concept of Dira Leis Barech Betachtenim, making a dwelling place for Hashem in this physical world. With all the limitations that we have in this physical world, with the limitation of only Yediyas HaMetzias, only being able to reach the level of knowing godliness, the existence of godliness. But that Aveda actually also does something else. It adds divine light and divine energy and inspiration where? In Gan Eden. And it's there where the Neshama is able to comprehend the very essence of godliness as a result of our Aveda in this physical world. That's the paradox. What is the main Aveda in this matter? What's the main component of serving Hashem down here in this physical world? Karbanis. Why? Because since what we're talking about is making a dwelling place for God, where? Down here in this physical world, which means to say that the very highest levels of godliness, or let's use the terminology that Rebbe uses, Atzmus Umuhus, Ein Sof Baruch Hu, the very essence of God's infinity, to draw that down into this physical world, because that's the idea of Dira Lo Yizbarech, to make a dwelling place for Him. What does it mean, a dwelling place? A dwelling place is where a physical dwelling place is where the person finds himself with his entire essence and his entire being. So, when we talk about making a dwelling place for Hashem down here in this physical world, what are we talking about? Making a dwelling place for the very essence of Hashem. And that very essence should be revealed and fully present, just like a person in his own domain. Right? That concept of it coming down into a physical, into the very lowest level, into the mata, is expressed in bringing a physical carbon. Because when we bring, that's where we're up to. When you bring a carbon beruchni spiritually, when you daven, so it still has not descended into the very lowest level. The symbol behind bringing a physical carbon is drawing down the Shekhinah to the very lowest levels of Gashmias. That it permeates even what? Even a physical animal, a behemoth. So this is where we're up to. The carbon, the idea of a carbon is, page Kufchaf Aleph, 10 lines from the top, the line starts to Achal Kubin. The idea of a carbon is that you bring it down into the very lowest levels, and that it finds expression and is revealed there. What does it mean so far as the person is concerned? The carbon, carbon is from the expression of kiruv, bringing close. Bringing close what? The powers and the abilities of the human being. Hainu. What does that mean? That this very high level of Gettlichkeit, the drawing down of the very essence of Hashem, is drawn down internally into created beings. The Eitzah is not only is it drawn down internally into created beings, in addition to that, what do we draw down through the act of bringing karbanis? We actually draw down the very essence of Hashem. Not any manifestations or revelations of Hashem, but actually the very essence of Hashem. That's the symbol behind bringing a carbon. Kemaimer, as it says in the Kabbalah and the Zohar, Rosa, the Kurbana, the secret of the carbon of the sacrificial offering, Oila, goes up ad Rosa de Ein Sof, until the secret of Ein Sof, of infinity, of God's infinity. Hainu, and the Rebbe stresses here, Rosa, the Atzmusei Umuhusei Ein Sof Baruch Hu, the secret of the very essence of God's infinity. Shezeu di Kaloshn Rosa de Ein Sof. That's why the accurate choice of language here is Rosa de Ein Sof, the secret of Ein Sof. Ein Sof means no end, infinity. And V'loi Rosa de Ein Sof. It doesn't say the secret of God's infinite light. God's infinite light would denote what? A revelation, a manifestation of Hashem. Ein Sof, with omitting the word means the true infinity, which is what? God Himself, the very essence of Hashem. And that is what? The secret of the carbon reaches all the way there, and that's what we draw down, the very essence of Hashem. That's why the main making of this dwelling place for Hashem down here in this low world is mainly done through the performance of bringing a physical carbon, a physical sacrificial offering. Why? Because through this service of Hashem, we reach what? The very essence of Hashem. And we draw that down. And where do we draw it down? Internally into the created beings, his galus, and revealed. That is the idea of the physical act of bringing a behemoth, bringing an animal onto the Mizbeach. This is the reason why. The main quality of karbonis is specifically bringing a physical animal, and not davening. Why? Because specifically in the offering of a physical animal, it was obvious in a revealed way that the animal is being consumed in the fire of above, as mentioned before. What does it mean, the fire of above? We learned before, as the Gemara says in Yuma, that a fire would come down from heaven. This is one of the miracles that happened to the Beis Hamikdash. There was a fire that came down from heaven that was lying on the Mizbeach in the shape of a lion. This was a fire from above. So here you saw that the fire from above consumed the physical animal. What does that mean? The connection of the very highest levels with the very lowest levels, which is the main idea of Avodas Hashem. That is also why, as mentioned before, what was the main mode of serving Hashem when Hashem first created the world and put Gan Eden, put Adam and Chava into Gan Eden? The idea of bringing karbanos. Why? Because since through this physical act of bringing the carbon, specifically the intent that Hashem had in the creation of the world of desiring to have a dwelling place for Him in the very lowest realms, that is specifically fulfilled through what? Brought about through what? Through bringing a karbanos. That's the symbol behind bringing a physical carbon. That is again why the Torah chooses the word specifically vayanicheyu, and He placed them. The word vayanicheyu. Why does it say vayanicheyu? He placed them vayanicheyu daike. Specifically, He uses the word vayanicheyu. Kiven shali de karbanis nasa in the naicha. By karbanis it also says what? As korban nach mishay reach nichoichi. Korban is the idea of naicha, the idea of pleasure, which touches the very essence of Hashem. That is hinted in this word vayanichehu. He placed it in Gan Eden for the purpose of naicha. For what? The idea of avodas karbanis, to draw down the very essence of Hashem. So this is the symbol behind bringing a physical carbon, connecting the very highest levels of godliness, the very essence of Hashem, to permeate even the very lowest aspects of creation. And that is also why that was the main mode of avodas Hashem in Gan Eden. And in the next chapter, the Rebbe will elaborate what is the difference between karbanos as they were in Gan Eden and the karbanos that we bring after man was sent out from Gan Eden and the Beis Hamikdash and so on and so forth.